So in reductive drawing, instead of starting with a white sheet, you cover the entire sheet with an even gray background. So I'm using my vine charcoal, and if you remember, your vine charcoal is the charcoal that is lighter, right? Your vine charcoal is probably the little round sticks, comes in like a rectangular box if you got the kit. Sometimes it's called willow charcoal as well. And you want it to be a nice even ground. So I always rub mine in a little bit with my finger, because you want it to be a nice mid-tone gray consistency. Okay? And then you are going to look for where the light is and start by carving out the highlights. So say the light is coming from this way, right? This is my light source. Here, I'll draw it in. This is my light source, all right? So I'm gonna start by looking for where the light is, and you can use your chamois. If you don't have a chamois, a paper towel will work, or this is just like an old cut up t-shirt. Or you can use your kneaded eraser, but I like to start with my chamois, and I just look for where the light is. So I'm just gonna draw a sphere, and I start sort of taking away the highlights. Sometimes I'll sort of use my kneaded eraser to just draw and erase out like the overall shape, so I know what I'm drawing, sort of like a gesture. And then I just start by erasing the highlights and taking things away. But you'll notice like my mid-tone value is already there, right? But if I need anything darker, then I can add more layers of of vine charcoal to sort of get another layer of a mid-tone. Kind of get a little more contrast. But if I need any really dark areas, then I can go in with my compressed charcoal and add a little bit of difference. I can blend those together. But see, this is still my paper color. So I'm still getting the value from that. The nice thing too is if, say, I made a mistake up here, I can just color it and sort of blend it out, and it goes back to my paper color, right? And then I can go back in, make a little adjustment, make adjustments with my kneaded eraser. Because if you use your kneaded eraser, you're going to get a little more, take a little more paper off, or charcoal off. So you'll get a little brighter white. Blend that a little bit. I need a little bit of a shadow down here. So I'm going to use a little more vine charcoal. Add a little bit of a shadow, and so it's kind of about adding and subtracting to see what sort of values you need. If this is darker, this might be a little darker up here. And then maybe if my light is coming from here, I might have like a little bit of a light source. So you really just have to pay attention to where the light is, kind of pushing back and forth. We have a little bit of a table, you know, just making value differences. And really paying attention to what is going on, how the light is changing. But it's all about pushing back and forth, taking away. Maybe I get it a little too light, dark up there, so I'm taking away with my chamois. But the thing you don't want to do in this, right, is you never want to like draw an outline. Because you see how I had form before and that really like flattened it out? So we want to try and avoid outline. So if you ever do that, the nice thing about this is you can just blend it back in and it just becomes part of the background. It just becomes part of that mid-tone gray again. So it just value's all about creating value, creating shape, creating that softness, as opposed to using the line. So you're using the light as opposed to the line. Okay? And then if you need to, if you want anything that's like super tight, like a super tight edge, or you need a little detail, you can come in with your charcoal pencils and add some edges, clean some things up, some detail. You know, maybe you want a little bit of like mark making somewhere. Charcoal pencils are really good for that. In this highlight, I don't have a white charcoal pencil, but if you wanted like some extra light, you could add a little white in there with your highlight. If you have a eraser stick, my eraser stick's really dirty, but this is good for erasing like smaller areas, almost like mark making, right? Just gives a little bit of a different type of mark. We'll also take a little bit more off. So there's lots of different options for how you erase the charcoal. A white eraser, so an eraser like this, right, will also lift a little more charcoal off, but you don't want to start with this eraser because you're going to ruin your eraser. So after you've taken some of the charcoal off, you can go back in and like really come back in here. So this is like really great for highlights. And the whiter your paper is, the brighter your highlights will be, because your highlight will only be as bright as the color of your paper.